Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Stepping Up to the Plate. I'm your host, Michael Vega. So glad you could join us. My main man, Al Prizzuti, is winging his way from Hawaii as we speak. Can't wait to have him on the show once we get back from our Thanksgiving holiday. But I wanted to, send a shout out to everyone who showed up at Brooks Field on Friday. Most notably, my main man, Sean Doyle, did a great job hanging in with windswept rain, pelting that state-of-the-art press box at Brooks Field. But our man stayed in, hung in, and he provided you a recording of an unbelievable game between the Milton Wildcats, the top seed in Division III, and the number 8 Marblehead Magicians, the defending Division III state champions at Brooks Field, with the Wildcats coming out on top, rallying from a 20-7 deficit, 17 unanswered points. And guess who's behind it all? Yeah, your man Jack Finnegan. He was the guy who got it done. Unbelievable. Jack Finnegan, he just continues to amaze. Let me throw this stat at you here. Jack Finnegan, in his last 8 quarters of football, has scored no less than 44 points for the Wildcats. He had 26 in a 46-21 win over Minnesota in the opening round, where he also scored 24 unanswered points by himself to stretch an 8-7 lead to 32-7 at the half of that game. Unbelievable. Then he comes back against the Marblehead Magicians, a very strong team from the Northeast Conference coming in, and unbelievable. We had Coach Steve Dembowski. He was unbelievable. Gave us a Belichickian recitation of their program, their strengths, their weaknesses, the personnel. I just felt like there was no way the Wildcats were going to lose with Coach Dembowski on their sideline. And, of course, Coach Dembo pulled them out with just a great comeback win from 20-7 deficit. Wildcats come back and they win 24-20. And now Wildcats are one win away from Gillette Stadium. Let that sink in a bit, okay? Because now they'll be playing against Hanover, a strong team, a team that lost some very talented players to the Preps. Their quarterback, Landolfi, wound up going up to Lawrence Academy and brought 3 stout offensive linemen, but they haven't seemed to have missed a beat. 8-2 right now, and the Hawks are going to be coming in, to Weymouth, and that's where a neutral site's going to be on Friday. Weymouth High, Friday night, 7 o'clock. So we're going to need the Wildcat Nation to get out there strong. You got to be loud. You got to be proud. Remember, you got to go online to buy your tickets, okay? And unfortunately, Milton Access does not have permissions to broadcast that game, but due to MIA, licensing and whatnot, and they will have the game, but you will have to buy a subscription to their service, which I already have. But at any rate, 1 win away. Unbelievable. Wildcats, 1 win away from going to Gillette Stadium to play for the Division III state championship. All righty? And we have some highlights from the big win against Marblehead, and love you to enjoy them right now. with Jack Finnegan factoring, I mean, just unbelievably, he was so huge in that game. First of all, block PAT for him. He had a 35-yard punt return that helped put Milton in position for a big second half score, and that was Michael Fulton with a 45-yard touchdown pass from Owen McHugh. And as I mentioned, Jack Finnegan had a touchdown that helped answer Marblehead's early score. Marblehead, let me say that fast 3 times. Marblehead went ahead 20-7. Their big quarterback, Miles O'Neill, with a big touchdown pass that made it 20-7. Then Jack Finnegan blocks the PAT, all right, that prevents Marblehead from getting a 14-point lead. That opened the door now for the Wildcats, all right. Jack Finnegan comes back, kicks a big 25-yard field goal to make it 20-10 at the half. Defense from Milton, unbelievable. They come back and they shut out the Magicians in the second half, enabling the big comeback to take place. And you could see once Michael Fulton scored that touchdown, the momentum started to shift. And you had everybody at Brooksfield going nuts. And of course, and then when Jack Finnegan scored the go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes remaining, it was all the Wildcats needed to seal the deal. And now they're on to the state semifinals where they'll face Hanover, who had an impressive 40-37 win over Walpole in their second round win. So hats off to Coach Steve Dembowski, to Jack Finnegan, the captain. Also, the other captains, Owen McHugh, Drew Kokoris, and KJ Beckett for the great job that they did. And, of course, you know, all the coaching staff. And so we got to get behind them. Everybody, we need you to get out there, be loud, be proud, you know, and come with the crazy, man. You got to come with the crazy on Friday. That's all I can say. At any rate. All right. But, you know, we also had some impressive performances up and down from the swim team and, of course, cross country. Shout out to Ethan Dobert with a PR in his cross country. And then, of course, Kaylee Boynton, a neighbor of mine, had impressive performance in swimming. So we're going to have a lot of people, Milton, representing in the States. So hopefully they will do well. Hats off to them. And so now we turn our attention to some of the other local teams. We're looking at the Celtics, the Bruins, and the Patriots all going pretty good right now. And Celtics had a great win recently against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thunder looks to be much improved this year with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leading the way there. But I was so heartened because one of the people who got to witness this victory was none other than Oscar Reyes, a good old friend of mine from back home, Texas. I'll tell you who he is. Childhood friend of mine. We grew up together down in Brownsville, Texas. They moved away to Georgia. We hadn't seen each other 42 years. He and his lovely wife, Colleen, come into Boston. Colleen on business, Oscar tagging along, and he's just doing up Boston. His first trip to Boston, he did the Freedom Trail. He went to the Celtics game. We met up. I took him over to Steel and Rye here in Milton. You know, he got on famously with everyone there, and we had a wonderful time. We did a little tour of Boston, and then I took him to an authentic Boston pub down on Charles Street, the Sevens. We had a great time there. He's been out and about, man about town, Oscar Reyes is, and he's going to be going to the Bruins game. So if you see him there, you know, gotta hold up a sign that says, "Where's Oscar?" At any rate, great guy, love him to death, and he came all the way from Hawaii, first time here. He's living in Hawaii now, but we caught up. It was a great time, and he's been living it up. He loved the game against the Celtics, and very impressed with them, as I was, you know. I'm so glad that Peyton Pritchard is back from the Witness Protection Program. I'm telling you, you know, he has done an unbelievable job, you know, kind of biding his time on the bench, having to deal with the fact that there's been a turnover, not only in the coaching staff, you're at the top, but also in some of the acquisitions that kind of limited his playing time. But, as Marcus Smart said, he's a professional. We love him. We're going to keep him. And I hope and pray Brad Stevens does not even think about dealing this guy. It's the same way I feel about Marcus Smart. He's a guy, he's a glue guy. He goes to the floor for loose ball. He just gets involved, and he's a catalyst. And we saw that in that game against Oklahoma City, how important he was, as well as Marcus Smart coming in, splashing a couple big threes in a comeback win there at TD Garden. And, of course, Bruins are going gangbusters. And they were refortified with the return of Charlie McAvoy. Now they're looking to get Jeremy Swayman back in net. And so the Bruins, they're going really good and getting stronger as they get into the season. So Coach Jim Montgomery doing a great job there with this team. And I think Oscar's going to have a fabulous time at TD Garden sitting there amongst the Bruins faithful. And so we hope that he has a great time. And we turn our attention now to a little bit of football with the Patriots. The Patriots had a bye week last week, and while they were idle, everyone around them was losing, most notably the Buffalo Bills, who now it's a concern there in Buffalo because, their quarterback has suffered an arm injury that knocked him out, kept him out of the week's worth of preparation, and wound up, I suspect, may have done something to his arm when he had it awkwardly bent back by a defensive lineman, and may have caused a stress or maybe a tear or something there in the ulnar, which most major league pitchers will tell you, is the precursor to Tommy John. And for a quarterback, that's not a good thing to have because you're constantly putting that arm under pressure, but mostly from the shoulder, not as much as the elbow. But, still you got to whip it. And really, the effect of it takes away those sidearm deliveries for him. So it's tough for Josh Allen to be, kind of rendered in a little bit kind of out of commission. And it really changes the complexion now of the Bills' prospects, especially after they lost last week. Tough loss to the Vikings. And Vikings, they're a team that might be heard from as well. And lo and behold, the Eagles showed that they were beatable by no less than the Commanders. And the Commanders are coming on strong as well. And you got the Giants. The NFC East seems to be the toughest conference right now in the NFL. But look at the AFC East. Look who's coming on. It's the Miami Dolphins, ladies and gentlemen. They're starting to come on the inside. And, we thought the Jets were going to be something, but, they still have issues to sort out. And they'll be coming to Foxborough, where the Patriots are gaining in steam. They had a great defensive performance, 9 sacks, in their last game. Matthew Judon was awesome. Dietrich Wise, all the guys up front did a tremendous job in their last win there at Foxborough, earning a nice bye week. And now they get back to it and make the push for the playoffs against the New York Jets. And Zach Wilson, he's still, I think, an unknown quantity. They spent a lot of draft capital on that young man, number 1 overall for the Jets. And so it's going to be an interesting turn of events because the Patriots have already beaten the Jets down in New York. And I think it was like their 12th or 13th in a row. And now the Jets come to Foxborough where young quarterbacks do not fare well against Bill Belichick and his defense. And let me tell you, the thing that's been a complete revelation is the defense. Early on they seemed to have their struggles, and now they're getting better. And, of course, on the offensive side, Mac Jones has had his issues too. He's been injured, high ankle sprain. It's going to be a nagging thing. But I think the week off may have helped him get maybe a lot better. I won't say a little bit, probably a lot better, because if he spent every waking moment, getting treatment, I think that's going to put him in a better position to make it through to the second half of the season, because anytime you have an high ankle sprain, any little thing can tweak it, make it a nagging issue all the way to the end of the season. So We've seen guys fall by the wayside already. I'm thinking about Cooper Kupp over in L.A. With his ankle injury, he's gone. And so the war of attrition is on in the NFL, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Another interesting thing to see will be the return of Deshaun Watson to the Browns. As we look at the global picture of the NFL, and he'll be going up against the Texans this week, which is his former team. So it's almost like the NFL schedule makers had divined that this was going to be the time to put Deshaun Watson on the stage, on the big stage. It'll be against his former team, which he left in, I guess, not so great, parting of the ways there for him with all that was surrounding him, all the controversy surrounding Deshaun Watson. So that's going to bear some watching to see how he does, because the Cleveland Browns' future is going to be pinned on. They have pinned their future on him with the huge contract that they've offered him. And, the guy who wants that kind of money and still doesn't have that kind of money and doesn't know if he'll get that kind of money from his team is none other than Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. He entered the season with contract negotiations reaching an impasse. He's conducting his own. I don't know if he's reached out and got a representation, but again, that's one of those global things in the NFL that's going to bear watching, because if he hits the open market, he will get that money from some team that will be willing to spend that kind of capital to bring him aboard, and because he's a game changer, as John Harbaugh well knows that guy he can turn a game around for you, but he has shown that he has his flaws as well. Probably not wise to blitz him, but you know what? You can't let him break contain. That's just the simple truth of the matter on that. But at any rate, so Patriots will be coming back from their break, their bye week, with a 5-4 record to host the Jets and to begin the big push to the playoffs. Now, I'll ask you this. Could you even have, and I'll be the first to admit it, I didn't even think the Patriots had a prayer to get to the playoffs once they hit that stretch where you had issues with, offense, struggling, Mac Jones struggling, then Mac Jones getting injured, and then, of course, Bailey Zappi having to come in after Brian Hoyer got concussed, and then there was a little glimmer of hope with Zappi in there, but then hope was dashed, and that tough loss, that he took. But I think that now that they're beginning the second half of the season above 500, there's still a chance. There's still a chance, and that's all you ask for is a chance, to get into the playoffs, to, do some damage, and right now the two teams in Boston that are certainly looking like they're going to be playoff contenders, the Bruins and the Celtics, and both of these teams look like they're positioned to make deep runs, and both of them on an upward trajectory, and both of them now are, I think, regarded in their respective fields as the teams to beat. The Celtics came in as kind of like a odds-on favorite to win it all. They, because of the youth, the construction of their roster, the moves they made, of course, then there was the turmoil that they went through with Ime Udoka, being let go. We thought that Udoka was going to wind up in Brooklyn. There was some thought about that when the Nets released Steve Nash. They fired him. And, of course, Udoka did not land in Brooklyn. And had he done so, it might have lifted some of the, cloud of controversy here in Boston, I think, after they went with interim Joe Mazzulla. But Mazzulla has done a very, very good job keeping everybody in track. And, this veteran group now, as young as they are, but they're still savvy, they're still skilled, and they have been able to help him manage, what has got to be a daunting experience. You go from being a back line, assistant. Now you are the guy helping run the operation. So hats off to Joe Mazzulla for a great job that he's done right now and keeping the Celtics, on track. And, he's had a much better start than Ime Udoka's had. If you recall, I mean, Ime Udoka got to January, and we were looking like, oh my God, was this the right guy for the job? And he managed to turn it around, managed to kind of get this team to buy into defensive toughness, and get them into the playoffs and make a run. They get into the NBA Finals, and they take the Warriors to the hilt. But I think this is a team that can get there again, and I think this is a team that invariably can win, this thing. And I love the way they're constructed. I love the pieces. Do not get rid of Peyton Pritchard. Do not touch that guy. All right? Love him. Love him. Just like I do Marcus Smart. My main man, Al Prizzuti, would give me grief about that. But, he's not here to do that right now at any rate. But we think also the Bruins are suited to make a deep run. The moves that they made, to bring back David Krejci, to have Patrice Bergeron sign on for another year, I think that invigorated the likes of Brad Marchand and Pasternak and Jacob DeBrusk. I think they added some good pieces there. Pavel Zacha was a good addition, I think. And on the defensive core, having McAvoy come back with Hampus Lindholm, you have Foligno at the forward position also, but Grzelcyk, also a healthy Grzelcyk, Matt Grzelcyk coming back, only fortifies that defense. And it's an amazing thing that team did to manage their roster and play as well as they did while they were missing so many people. And Krejci was out for a while. Obviously you had Marchand was out for a while. Marchand comes back, has a great game, his first game back, 2 goals. And then, of course, McAvoy coming back, his first game back, bingo, game-winning goal for the Bruins. So everyone, I think, that's sitting on the sidelines right now for the Bruins, and they're not very many left, they're anxious to get back. They're anxious to be a part of this. They're anxious to feel those fans, rooting them on, cheering them on, and feeling that energy, that exchange, of energy that they get from the fans and that they provide to the fans. So, a lot to be excited about. And I'm sure my good buddy Oscar Reyes, unbelievable. Oscar, you're going to go see another game at the Garden, and it was funny because I picked him up and his buddy Jimmy Fahn from Lowell. They worked in Hawaii together, and I picked him up at Oscar's hotel, dropped him off over at the Garden. We spent some time together. I wasn't able to join them, but at any rate, he texted me and had a great time, so I'm glad that he did. And I know that he'll have an even better time at the Garden watching the Bruins play. So hopefully he brings them some good Hawaiian luck, for the Bruins. But at any rate, a little bit of programming, we'll be off next week for Thanksgiving. But we want to remind everybody that next week, Milton Access TV will bring you the Braintree Thanksgiving matchup at Brooks Field. That's this week. This year, Milton Braintree will be at Brooks Field, the big Thanksgiving Day matchup, 10 a.m. And we hope to have that live streamed, I believe. I think the guys are we on board for that? I think we are. But at any rate, my main man, Sean Doyle, I know will be there. I'm going to try and bring him a little batch of goodies, for Thanksgiving morning for our nice carving station and cash bar at the press box there. I know the guys in the box are having a chuckle about that one. At any rate, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Blessings to you and your families. I am incredibly blessed. Beautiful wife Barbara, beautiful children Natalia and Noel, who just recently had a great performance in the Beauty and the Beast high school performance. They will be coming back in the spring with performances of Mamma Mia. So that's going to be great. Can't wait to see that. Again, Beauty and the Beast was a fabulous performance. And, so proud of my son Noel for his participation in that. He even drew the poster that you see around town. That was his work. It was unbelievable. At any rate, so thankful for them. So thankful for you for spending your time with me here for your support of this show, for your support of Milton High Athletics. All right? Reminding you once again, Friday night, Weymouth High, Milton against Hanover. Need you to come. We need you to be there. Bring the crazy, baby. All right? Okay. We'll see you then. Take care, everybody. See you next time. Happy Thanksgiving.